There is Kendra, though. I've talked with her. She plays tenor sax in the jazz band. This solo she plays on Harlem Nocturne, it's so good it makes me want to take sax lessons. I talk with her once in a while, just talk. Still, Kendra's more like a musician than a girl. So like I said, because of Alicia, I learned that a girl will talk to me, and even seem to enjoy it. We both enjoy it. Back at the end of the first week, when I told Dr. Van Doren and he got so excited, I thought he and Dad and the committee would get together right away, do some big league brainstorming, work up an action plan to save Bobby Phillips. It doesn't happen. But the committee does agree on one thing, by phone, that if Bobby Phillips is ever going to have a regular life, we must maintain absolute security while we look for a way to get him back to normal. So I learned the hard way that I shouldn't depend on a committee to solve my problems. Sitting on my bed, looking at my bookcase one night during the second week, I see my thick Sherlock Holmes collection. It's all the stories in 2 flat volumes. The great thing about Sherlock Holmes is he never sat around looking for theories. He was into the facts and observation, like in The Adventure of the Speckled Band, about the man who dies in his bed one night and no one can figure it out. It's because no one took the time to really look at the room, and when Holmes does, he sees exactly what happened. That idea sets me off, and over the next few days, whenever I'm not talking to my folks or Alicia, or not eating or sleeping, I'm being a detective. I start by writing down everything I can remember about the 2 days before the suspect disappeared. What the suspect ate, what he wore, where he went, who he talked to, where he sat, how many times he washed his hands, as much as I can remember. And I tape 4 sheets of typing paper together, end to end, and lay all the information out on a timeline, hour by hour, because there must be a clue somewhere. People don't just disappear. Something or someone had to make it happen. Then I start to think of my room like it's a crime scene, because that's where I was when it happened. Or maybe I was in the hall bathroom. So I make a list of everything in both rooms. Everything. The carpet, and the light bulbs, and my alarm clock, and the flashlight under my bed, and the pack of firecrackers hidden in my desk. The shampoo in the tub, the plunger under the sink, Dad's old Norleco razor, everything. Then I categorize every item as many different ways as I can think of. Natural, synthetic, liquid, solid, electrical, chemical, wood, metal, plastic, paper, on and on. And it feels like I'm making progress for a day or two, but by the end of the second week I'm out of ideas, and no matter how I look at all the information, all I see is an invisible kid looking at nothing in a mirror. And when I show the lists and the timeline to Dad after dinner one night, he says, interesting material, Bobby. I'll hang on to it, but I can tell from his face that Dad doesn't think much of my sleuthing. So another thing I learned is that Sherlock Holmes always finds the right clue and I don't. Here's something dangerous I learned about myself. I learned that even with a steady fear eating away at me, the fear of being this way forever, and when I'm working hard to find a solution or just a clue, even then I can call Alicia or get a snack or read a book, and I can trick myself into feeling almost normal for hours at a time. But the most dangerous thing I learned during these 3 weeks is that people who run schools are nosy. They don't like it when a kid just stops coming. It doesn't matter if it's a public school or one like mine. When you don't show up for a week, they want to know the details. So the school nurse calls that Monday after my mom gets home from the hospital. Mom tells her I still got the flu. The nurse has heard about the car accident that Mom and Dad were in the hospital. Mom tells her that Aunt Ethel was here to take care of me. The nurse is glad I'm doing much better. How much longer will he be missing classes? Another week? Fine. A week later, to the day, the nurse is not curious anymore. Now she's edgy. She calls Mom again. She's getting notes from my teachers in the counseling office, because 2 weeks is a long time to be absent from a high-powered private prep school. It's a lot of classes to miss, not to mention the midterm exams. And Mom chats and tells her not to worry, that Bobby is much better now. Then a half hour later on the same day, Mr. Creed, the guidance counselor, calls Mom and says he's got a huge pile of books and assignments for me. He'd be happy to bring them over to the house, and if the flu isn't infectious anymore, maybe he could talk with Bobby and explain some of the assignments. But Mom says no, don't bother. She'll be happy to stop in at the office because Bobby is still tired a lot. And the counselor says it would be good if the school could have a note from our family doctor about the illness, just for the files, because that's the school policy about long absences. When there's a note in the file, the work can be made up gradually with no penalties. But Mom and Dad don't have a note from Dr. Weston, because that would mean a house call. Dr. Weston's bedside manner is a little too gossipy, a little too informal for Dad. Dad doesn't want Dr. Weston anywhere near me, so there's no note. The next day, Mom calls Mr. Creed and then goes to pick up my assignments. Her black eyes have turned to a bruised yellow, so no one stares too much when she goes to the counseling center. But when Mom is talking with Mr. Creed and the school nurse happens to pass by, "Mrs. Phillips, isn't it? And how's that Bobby? He has the flu, right?" It doesn't feel like a coincidence. Schools aren't in the business of wondering about kids or guessing about kids. Schools are in the business of knowing, and when a school wants to find something out, the school takes steps. Private schools aren't linked up with the state government like the public schools are. They actually try to stay free of the state. But one of the ways private schools do that is by following all the rules. And the state has rules about children and extended illnesses and contagious diseases, and it doesn't matter what kind of a school the kid attends. So that's why a second Save Bobby Phillips committee gets going. At the beginning, it's the nurse, my teachers, the guidance counselor, and the people who run the school. Maybe it's the nurse or the counselor or somebody else at school. Maybe it's nobody at the school. But it's somebody, and I vote for the nurse, because somebody calls the Cook County Board of Health and reports that a 15-year-old boy attending University High School has become ill for 3 weeks. The parents have not supplied a note from a doctor. No one has even seen the child, me, that is, during the past 3 weeks. And then somebody at the Board of Health calls the Department of Children and Family Services. So the second Save Bobby Phillips committee is getting bigger, and this committee has an action plan.